Well, again, thanks for joining me. This is going to be actually our very first interview with Lumber.Club. So
Oh,
I'm
I'm
really,
honored. Wow.
yeah. You joined us, and just we're going to go through some things and just get a bit more of an idea of what you do and how you
Yes.
impact the industry. All right.
Yes.
So let's start off with why the lumber industry. Like, how did you get involved with it?
Well, I've called the building materials industry. And I started out, my father was always in advertising. He was like Don Draper from Mad Men. You know, he had the French cuffs and a cigarette and a martini and a suit and all that. And things were big ideas, big ideas. So in college one summer, so I grew up around it. In college one summer, he offered me a summer job. And so I went to work. At that point, he had his own agency. And I went to work for his agency. And I discovered that I liked more working with our business to business customers than our business to consumer customers. Because I found business to consumer, it really got down to how much money do you have to spend on advertising. Where business to business, you could use your brain to solve a problem. It wasn't limited by how much money you have.
Mm,
In fact, sometimes I found if you had too much money, you got lazy. You just relied on money. And
yeah.
so I like the challenge of working with business to business companies to solve problems. So a building material company selling to a two-step distributor, selling to a lumber dealer who's selling to a builder. I'm looking at and somewhere there's a contractor in there, and if I treat the builder as a consumer and just, let's say, advertise to the builder, and I don't have the dealer, the distributor, the contractor on board, it's I might it might be very hard for me to be successful.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so I left my father's agency and I went to work for a firm in Toledo, Ohio that only did only did advertising for building material companies, and their biggest client was Owens Corning Fiberglass, and I quickly learned that they called themselves an advertising agency, but they actually did very little advertising because most of the time they found, okay, the problem here is we need to help the lumber dealer be more successful selling Owens Corning. So, what could we do to help the lumber dealer be more successful? Well, that opens your mind up to a whole different way of solving problems. And
Right.
so, I love every day to solve problems, and so the building materials industry provided that, and you weren't expected to just say, okay, you need to spend more money and you need this really creative idea to
Yeah.
solve it. You could do things without thinking about flanking the competition instead of just outspending them. So
Right.
I just fell in love with it, and I decided to stay focused on the building materials industry.
Cool. And how long have you been doing it for?
About 40 years that
Oh,
I've
cool.
been in building materials. So I've worked in over 100 companies that I've consulted with, and everything for every I always start out by saying, is it residential or commercial?
Yeah.
Is it new construction or repair, remodel, retrofit?
Yeah.
And even if a company says, oh, well, all those, I go, okay, well, we have to take them one at a time
Right.
and go through and make sure you got a good plan in place, and so forth.
Yes, and that's exactly it for me too. Like for your niches, there's so many different offshoots of really who do you target in your particular business, and you have to narrow it down. So what do you find, like, obviously asking a couple of questions, but what would you say is your ideal audience?
For me, I'm going to say my first audience is the company that I'm going to be working with, trying to help them grow their sales. And they're a company that sees that they have more to gain than to lose. So the largest companies in our industry see that they have more to lose than they can gain.
Mm,
And so they tend to be very conservative, very resistant to new ideas, very resistant to change.
mm,
And so I like working with the upstarts, the companies that are smaller to medium size, who see, like, wow, no, our business could be much bigger.
yeah.
Somebody that has 50% of the market, they they're looking like they want to protect that as opposed to they want to continue to grow the whole market.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, then, if you let's just say landed your client, have you seen a big change over the last, say, when you first landed that first client 40 years ago to now? Have you seen the lumber, or sorry, the building materials industry? Has it changed a lot, or are you seeing that
Oh,
it's pretty much the same, or what do you see?
well, I see like we went, it was this business that was always very resistant to change,
Mm,
very slow, very, but what I've seen is like there's a little bit of change, a little bit of change. And then I'm going to say somewhere, we'll say in the early 2000s, it seems like all of a sudden, since, I don't know, I'll just say since 2005 or so, even with the recession, I've just seen the degree of change to just be on this steep, steep slope.
right, right.
And so when I think about when I first started in this business in the late 1970s, we were sitting there going, now what's an R value? Do I need insulation? And what's this paper you want me to wrap around my house? Okay. And builders going, that's stupid. I've been building great houses for this many years. My father builds them the same way. I don't need this stuff. And to see how long it took to get people to say maybe we should have more insulation, maybe we should have maybe we should control the air and moisture barrier, or the air and moisture that's coming in the house from the exterior, and many other advances, in windows, roofing, everything.
Yeah,
And how long it took those to get accepted.
right.
And so then I saw, okay, along comes a company called James Hardie and has this silly material called fiber cement. Who would ever want to put that on the side of a house? Are you kidding me? And I remember how the vinyl siding companies, how they just kind of scoffed at it. No one's going to want to buy that. And how boom, how quickly James Hardie came in and made fiber cement a popular product. And then along comes Huber with their zip system. And it was like, seemed like it was maybe a couple of years, and everywhere I look, I see green on the outside of buildings.
Right.
And so I'm just seeing that we're accepting new products at a more rapid pace.
Mm,
And we're also accepting, let's say, changing the way we do business. The COVID lockdown took what I think was going to be 3 to 5 things that we were going to do anyway, but we're going to take 3 to 5 years to do in building materials. All of a sudden, it forced us to do them.
right.
It forced salespeople, rather than saying, okay, I'm going to be driving in my car all week going to lumber dealers. Okay, they said, oh, well, I guess there's this thing called Zoom. I wonder if I could talk to the dealer, by Zoom.
Right.
And all of a sudden they go, well, that wasn't so bad. And the
Yeah.
dealer's going, well, that wasn't so bad. In fact, the dealer's going, that was a good use of my time. I like you. I like your company, and I'd love to see you. But, if you come to see me, I feel like I take a little more time that I don't have today. And so, our ability to, I'd like to maybe be able to text you a question, and I just need a text back. I don't
Hmm.
need a big formal thing. So I think that we're all, the customers and the manufacturers and everybody in between, are all learning new ways to communicate
Yeah.
and what's important.
Right. And how are you finding safe for the older generation to the newer generation?
Oh, I had a company last fall that reached out to me and said, "Okay, Mark, I have 20 salespeople, and half of 10 of them are over 40, and 10 of them are under 40." And they said the people over 40, will not text, will just, they will email somebody, and they will make a phone call, and they'll have a personal meeting. The
Mm,
people under 40 will won't make a phone call, won't have a personal meeting, but love texts and email and social media, to
right.
communicate. And
Right.
so it's like, how do I get the young people to teach the old people, and how do I get the old people to teach the young people? And I
Yeah.
thought that's an interesting challenge, that we're all facing today.
It really is. And I'll tell you right now that the thing that is really interesting is that it's not one way or the other. You need both. You
Oh
need
no.
to establish those relationships. You need to pick up the phone. And that's kind of almost like the resistance I'm seeing, just even internet business. People think it's all or nothing. And no, I'm not going to do anything online. You got to use the phone. Well, no, you can use both together, but it's got to be done right. And I think that's the bridge that we need to create. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting. There was an interesting article in the Harvard Business Review, I think a couple of weeks ago, about they call it omnichannel marketing, and the point of it is that our customers today expect us to be where they are, and they are everywhere.
Mm,
So we have some customers who still want to have face-to-face interactions.
mm,
We
mhm.
have some customers that would like to have an online, and I'll call it an aided online interaction. Like I'd like to have a Zoom call with you.
Right.
Okay? Then we have some customers who would prefer to, have an Amazon experience. Just go on and order your product and not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And so we, if we're not everywhere our customers are, then we're not reaching those customers.
Yeah.
So when we establish rules in our minds, and sometimes it's like I know, as I always joke, like we have too many old white guys in this business, and I'm one of them. But I work really hard to look and say, okay, how does the customer want to be communicated with?
Right.
And so I have some clients that say, Mark, this is my cell phone number. If you need me, just pick up the phone and call. Okay. Then I have other ones like, Mark, if we can do anything but not have a phone call, great. Okay. Then people want to text or they want to email, and then we overlook social media. There are certain customers that are on social media, and that's the best way to get them. Like
Hmm.
I have some businesses I deal with, or people I know that are important individuals. I have their cell phone, I have their office number, I have their email, and I could use any of those and not get a response. But I can reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm going to be at this trade show next week. I'd love to stop by and see you. How about 2 o'clock on Tuesday, right? And they will be back to me in 15 minutes.
Right.
And so I'm going, okay, if I want to get to that person, I need
Yeah.
to do it this way.
Yeah.
And we have kind of a mindset about, well, if they didn't respond to the email, well, maybe they didn't see the email. I don't know what your email inbox looks like, but mine is like just overflowing. And
Exactly. And
and
multiple emails on top of it
oh my
also.
gosh, it's just out of control. So I think that's the important thing is we need to step back and just understand where is the customer today,
Hmm.
and the younger your customer, the more likely that they're going to be more comfortable being online,
Yeah.
and maybe the older the customer, the more comfortable they like to have a face-to-face meeting.
Right, right. Okay, cool. Now, what about when you made the choice to say, like I was on your website just yesterday and I was taking a look at Wizard Strategy, and you've got podcasts going, you got newsletters going, you're a busy guy, and I'm thinking like, wow, you got a lot of work there that you've put in, and on top of your own videos and interviews that you're doing, and where did you start to really kind of make that change to more doing that kind of work online?
Well, until 2000, so I my career was I worked for a couple of advertising agencies that either focused in building materials or we'll say an area that focused in building materials. And then I started my own agency. And so I had my own agency until 2011 that focused only on building materials. And I wanted a change. I realized, so I sold the agency to an ex-client who always wanted to own an agency. And then I decided, well, I'm going to be a consultant. Of course, I had no idea what that means. I see so many people going, well, I've left my job or whatever, and so I'm going to consult. I'm like, okay. I thought it couldn't be that hard because everybody says they're doing it, right? But
Right.
I realized it's a different business, special discipline. And so I was fortunate to have a couple of mentors, and so one mentor said, okay, Mark, you there's many more people need to know who you are and what you do. And so I want you to start a blog, and I want you to write 30 blog posts in 30 days. And I went, what? Have you talked to my high school English teacher? And so I also didn't have, I also thought, well, what do I have to say? Who would want to read what I have to say, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm going to do this. And I sat down, and every day, and the first day, as he said the first day is going to take you way too long, and you're going to be frustrated and all this. But by the 30th day, you're going to be, a blog post, I can whip that out in an hour and a half or something. And you'll get good at it, and hopefully you'll start to like it.
Yeah.
And so I started writing, and another mentor said, anyway, I got good at it. The second thing was I kind of found my voice and my confidence that I had something to say.
Right.
And I got over the fear of being wrong. Okay. And so I started to, like another one of my mentors said, Mark, if somebody doesn't disagree with what you've written, you're not doing it right.
Right.
And so I'm always, that's my new judge of, like, if everybody thinks what I wrote is brilliant, I go, darn, I could have put some in there to get somebody riled up, but I didn't. And so, but I all of a sudden, I slowed down to once a week. And another mentor had said, now, Mark, if you're going to be a consultant, you need to write a book. And I go, no, me write a book, not going to happen. But then 6 months in, I said, oh my gosh, I have half of a book written here. And I thought, what are the missing chapters? So I took the next 6 months of blog posts, and those became the rest of the book. So then I ended up publishing a book, Building Material Channel Marketing, which was really, I saw so many people, they start in this business, and it takes them a year to go, oh, that's what a two-step distributor does. Oh, that's what a contractor does. Oh,
Yeah.
and so I wrote that book just because I found there's no source of information to help people understand the business better.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the book, and then I really enjoyed learning things every week by talking to people, and then sharing my insights, what I've learned. And I just really, really enjoyed that. And so I've just become, as new technologies, podcasts, videos came out, I just said, okay, I'm going to do those too, just as a way of, let's say, taking a subject like how to sell a home builder today, and it's in a blog post or a podcast or a video, whichever is the way somebody wants to consume information. So the thing I take away, and I would encourage your listeners, are every one of us is a thought leader. Okay. I have never met a person that couldn't teach me something. Maybe you've been a salesman for a lumber dealer for 30 years, right? Mm-hmm. And you go, I just do my job. I know what things. But I say, okay, what are the 5 biggest mistakes you see builders make? Oh my gosh, here, let me tell you, okay? Okay, so when a manufacturer wants to introduce a new product through a lumber dealer, what's the smartest way you think they can do that? Oh, I can tell you that right now. And I'm like, okay, keep talking, right? So I would encourage, the listeners to, in today's world, one of the beauties is if you've got something to say, which all of us do, that it's now so easy to just share your thoughts and your knowledge. And for whatever reason, I do it because, one, I really enjoy challenging people's thinking. I enjoy sharing knowledge. And also I find that the more knowledge I share or give away, the more companies come to me and and want to work with me.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's so cool. Hey, what's with the sock cam?
Well, the sock cam, unfortunately, got broken 2 days ago. So I'm sorry, but the sock cam is not operational today. But we do have some fun socks on. But if you follow me, well, one, I would encourage anybody to please connect with me on LinkedIn, Mark Mitchell. I'm pretty easy to find. And if you want to laugh every day, then connect with me on Facebook, where I have 350 pairs of socks, and every morning the first thing I do is put on that day's socks with some smart ass comment on Facebook about my socks or the day. So it seems to bring I get a lot of laughs. So
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's great, Mark.
yes.
Well, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you and getting to know you a little bit. I really, I do. I love that you came on board and gave us a few moments of your time. It sounds like you're a really busy guy.
Like to be that way.
I know you've got, okay, your website again. What's your website?
SeeTheWizard.com, and that's spelled SeeTheWhizard.com. And on there, you will find over 500 articles that I've written. So you could type just about any question, like how to sell a home builder. There's probably 6 articles written about that. Just about any subject, you can look that up. You can subscribe to my newsletter, podcast, listen to watch my YouTube videos. And so it's a great, hopefully helpful source of information to help everyone be more successful.
Fantastic. That's great. Awesome. Mark, it again was a pleasure. Appreciate you. And we will be talking to you soon in the future.
Oh, looking forward to it. Thanks again. I'm honored to be your first guest.
Awesome. All right. Have a good
Bye
one.
now. Take care.